Hey Kim, just a quick little recap for you from today's session. Yeah, well, let's take a look at this one on the left first. So, the first thing we talked about was just your initial shape of your swing, wasn't it? You're coming a little bit across the line, which means, let me draw some lines here for you, which means if that's where we're trying to hit the golf ball, right, down this line in that direction. This is the line kind of going up your club. Well, when we come down, you're just a little too much on the top of that, right? You can see how your club coming down is very, very much above the line that it started, right? It doesn't come down close to the green line that it started on, which, in golfing terminology, just means it's a little steep, right? It's a little bit sort of down here, whereas we prefer it kind of going through your right bicep a little bit, right? So it's a little bit shallower, it's a little bit more flat, coming down, right? So if we pull up a model, right? Someone like Garcia, so that's where he's trying to hit it, right? So you can see when he's coming into impact, just how this club approaches the ball. You can see this club is coming into the ball a lot more from the inside, right? He's attacking the ball more from this way, right? Whereas you come down and you're kind of coming down and your club's attacking the ball that way. So you can see how your club ends the other side of the green line, the other side of the target line. So it's just a little bit across the path. We call this out to in. If you think about this side of the green line being the outside and this side of the green line being the inside, right? So your path coming through impact is a little bit out to in, right? With obviously a very open club face, because you can see the ball just squirt off over here, right? So two issues. Number one, you're coming at the ball too much across instead of more from the inside here, right? And also the club face is wide open. That's why the ball's just squirting off to the right somewhere, all right? So one thing in your setup, and we can talk about this now. So that's where you want to hit the ball, right? That's the target line. There's your toes, there's your knees, there's your hips, all parallel to it. Your shoulders just look as though they're a little bit open. All right, so maybe a good idea would be to pull this right shoulder back this way a little bit and try and feel as though your shoulders are pointing maybe a little bit off to the right, just a little bit. Don't forget, we want to give you the feeling of hitting the ball more from the inside here. Right, so a feeling of your shoulders pointing off to the right wouldn't be a bad feeling at all. All right. Also in your setup, we talked about pressure points. Okay, I want a pressure point underneath your left arm, your right armpit. I also want a pressure point underneath your left armpit, right? And as you're swinging, you can see what Sergio's doing here. He's got, and particularly from that position, you can see just how pressed his arms are against his torso here, right? So he's got some pressure there. There's a pressure point. So we talked about the 3 pressure points in your hands, the back 3 fingers of your left hand, right? The palm of your right hand against your left thumb, and also the first joint of your trigger finger here. There's your 3 pressure points in your hands. But I also want that pressure point under your right arm and the pressure point underneath your left arm. All right. So I think if you set up to it and you think of just pointing your shoulders a little bit more to the right over there, then that'll give you more of a sensation of coming in and attacking it from the inside. All right. Now, with regards to how you are swinging from this angle, right? We talked about this little bump, didn't we? Right. So if I put a line here, right, you can clearly see how that right pocket and that right thigh are just bumping into it, right? So you've got lateral movement, right? Your hips are moving laterally. Well, In the backswing, we never want lateral movement. We want lateral movement coming down to hit it, which your hips do. Look, your hips move laterally to hit it, right? Which is great. Love to see that. But we don't want any going back. So you've got that little bump there. And that little bump is going to affect how you turn your body, right? And then if we get your practice swing up here, we put a little line, oops, a little vertical line just next to your right pocket, right? So because now don't forget what we're thinking about. We've got your hands on the club better with those 3 pressure points. I've also told you to get a little bit of pressure underneath your left armpit and your right armpit, right? So then as you go back, when you're focusing more on what your body's doing, right, and your body's the engine, your body's going to kind of swing your arms, which swings the club, right? Look how better you're turning your body just with that thought process, right? So number 1, your hips are turning more. You watch how your right pocket actually moves away from that yellow line there. So you look at that position at the top, and you look at how you've now created this space here. I mean, that's totally different from this picture on the left side at the start of the session, right, where there's no space increase with your right pocket and that yellow line. You actually bump into it. Whereas this one, you're actually now forming some space, right? And this is just getting your hips and your lower body functioning a little bit better, right? So what we want is we want your left knee to start flexing whilst your right leg straightens a little bit. Now if we pull a pro up, or someone like Justin Rose won the US Open last year, right? And you watch his right leg and his right pocket, and you watch how he actually increases that space by the time he gets up to the top. Now you look at that angle, that's now very similar to what you've got going on, right? So you draw the line up here. You want to increase the space with your right leg and your right pocket. Yeah, that's so much better. And then you start comparing the amount of hip turn you've got, which allows your upper body to turn more, right? And then you start to see some similarities, right? Bent left knee, kind of a little bit straighter with the right knee, right? Which is what I'm seeing here. Your old swing, the swing at the start of the session, just doesn't resemble those things, right? You've got that little bump, and because you've got your little bump, look what happens to your left leg. It's almost like your left leg and your left knee have to move laterally this way, right? Because of the bump in your hips. Look at that. You see, so you've got about that much hip turn, which means you can only get that much shoulder turn, right? Whereas this one, just doing it with that little club, much more hip turn, much more upper body turn, and then if you can turn your body better that way, then, well, we can, we turn our body better going back, and then we'll be able to come down and attack the ball more from the inside this way, alright? But I know we didn't hit many shots. I know we didn't hit many good shots, right? But like I said at the start of the session, it's all about sort of changing your patterns, understanding what you've got to do to change those patterns, and then just getting on with it. Putting the reps in, right? The more reps you can put in, the more your brain and your body will get used to moving in that way and in that fashion. And then, when you get a ball in front of you, just little swings, just get some little swings, maybe just to here, right? Don't try and go all the way up to the top, just here to start with, and then come through from there. But what I'll do is I will email you now while I'm thinking about it, and I'll email you a link to those little training aids on Amazon, because I think they'll help you out. Alright, Kim, any questions, please use the message center below, and I'll speak to you soon.